Hi, I'm BrauKiller, and in my opinion, there's nothing better than a bottle of beer. It reminds me of the old days when my grandfather would send me into the fridge to get him another one. And it stands today the same way. Here I have my Kolsch, been conditioning now for a month and a half, out in my garage during the winter months. Summer's approaching and it's time to do something with it. When it comes to packaging my beer, BrauKiller says bottle it, condition it in the bottle a la champenois, and forget about the Coney kegs and the automatic dispensing systems. Anything that needs to be force carbonated, not for me. So, let's have a look at how we do that. First off, let's just marvel at the beauty of a nearly completed project. This Kolsch, you can basically see through it now in the big carboy. By the time you get that in a glass and that color intensity lessens, you're going to have something that is absolutely spectacular. And Kolsch is a great summertime beer, something that the ladies like, that the gentlemen can appreciate, and a lot of fun to drink, especially when you get it carbonated and you get a nice head and drink it out of a proper Kolsch sponge. And I'll show you all that too as we come to it. But fermentation is done. I haven't had airlock activity in weeks. It's been out in, right around 40 degrees. Weather here in Michigan got kind of nice at the end of winter. Didn't get it quite as cold as I wanted to, but you can see by the bottom there's plenty of stuff settled out, and the beer is very clear. So, step one, make sure your beer is ready to bottle. You don't want active fermentation going on of your malt sugars on top of your priming sugars, otherwise you're going to have an overcarbonated mess, something that may burst bottles, at the very least something that foams over and makes you look like a fool when you hand it to one of your friends. So, fermentation should be done. I'm not afraid to use the airlock for that. I know if there's no bubbles, 5-10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's done. Each molecule of alcohol that's made releases a molecule of CO2, and so don't care what anybody says, airlocks can tell the story for you. You're not getting a good seal there, and gas starts escaping. That means they're escaping into, and you're likely to have oxidized beer, and that's no good. So when the airlock's done, transfer it into an aging vessel, down near where I want it with a final gravity, I know this is ready to go. Alright, the next order of business is sanitation. This is 5-star Star San. This is great stuff. Very easy to use, very effective. A no-rinse system. It's basically an acid. In the right concentrations, kills everything. And it'll foam, but they say that you want to tip your equipment and make sure all the residual moisture's out of there, but don't worry about the foam. They say the foam adds nutrient to any yeast and won't leave any flavors, and will actually feed the yeast and help them to do their thing. Priming sugar, you can use dry malt extract. Sometimes you can use corn sugar, which I have here, which is very nice. I find with corn sugar, I try to shoot for about 1 ounce of sugar per gallon, and I get a good medium carbonation. It works out nice. If you use a dry malt extract, you got to choose a proper color. You don't want something too dark in a light beer, or vice versa. And you're going to need a little bit more as far as quantity, and a little bit more time. It takes about a week to 3 weeks to get good carbonation with corn sugar. Probably a good 3 weeks with malt extract. And you're going to need a pot and a measuring cup. I usually take 2 cups of water. For my Kolsch here, I'm going to take 4 ounces of sugar, and I'm going to boil that, and you got to give that time to cool. So that's the first thing you get going, is that, because it needs time to cool down to room temperature, so you don't pitch it and throw it in there and kill your yeast. A couple different types of tubing and hosing that you'll need for the project. On the left is my siphon pump, which I will use to move my beer now from my carboy to my bottling bucket. And on the right is a racking cane, which will move my beer into each individual bottle. Let's look at them quickly individually. Siphon pump, meant to pump just like when you clean a fish tank. Nothing elaborate. On the racking cane, the bottom has a plunger. You push this plunger down, liquid flows, and I'll show you how that's used. as we go. So you need a racking cane, you need a siphon pump, and these are just hooked up to just plastic tubing, the proper diameter, which most brew stores and hardware stores sell. Sanitized, each thing sanitized. I touched the end of that, so I'm going to dip it again in my Star San, and we'll let it dry. So I have here now a bottling bucket, food grade bucket with a spigot, in which I have attached the hose to the racking cane. Alright, and what you'll see next is how I transfer the beer from here via my siphon pump into my bottling bucket. Got to take care at this point. Don't want to oxidize things, so no splashing. Here I just transferred this to a jar, but it's my priming sugar and my water. Even this I want to be careful. I don't want to splash. Don't want any oxygen anywhere. Give you a cardboardy taste to your beer, and that's undesirable, especially in a light beer, delicate beer like a Kolsch. So I've added my priming sugar, and of course make sure that's cool, as I said, and that's room temperature. And next step, let's put our beer into the bottling bucket. Okay, this has been flooded with CO2 now. Part of the aging process. I saw to it that I had some bubble activity before I put it out to condition. We're going to pop it now for the first time. And a nice smell of green beer. Very good. So we drop our siphon pump in, nice on these clear beers. I can see where the bottom is. I don't want to take any particulate matter that I can avoid, and again, we don't want splashing or oxidation, so it should flow nice and smooth and gentle into the bucket. Swirls and combines with the priming sugar that we've added, and that priming sugar is going to add a little more for the yeast to go to work on. And what it'll do is it'll carbonate, but we're going to seal the bottles, and it's going to force that carbonation into the liquid, so that when you open the beer you get that nice little pop, and when you pour it you get a nice head. Head doesn't come from priming sugar though. Head comes from the work you do with the malt in the mashing steps, and hopefully you've seen my video on mashing and sparging. You follow those steps, this Kolsch near 100% efficiency, which means I barely left even a gram of sugar in into those grains when I was done with it. I watch. You want clear beer, so you don't want to get too close to the junk on the bottom. I've had a few beers in my day where I pour it and all kinds of hard stuff that was stuck to the bottom comes dropping out into your glass. And it's not always a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. With this particular style, clarity is key. You should be able to read the newspaper through it. And I don't filter it. Cold lagering, extended period, that'll knock the impurities down for you. Here we are. Wish I had someone else to work the camera. I wouldn't have to sit here and watch this whole thing. Let me see. No, I'm not going to take a chance. That drops down into the... Drop it down to the trub at the bottom there, and I'll have that in my bottling bucket. So I'm just going to sit here. We're going to let this finish flowing. Get a look through the tube, and that's basically a good indication of what color you ended up with. And this is a good color for a Kolsch. Probably right about, I don't know, I'm going to say 8 SRMs. Kind of on the copper side. Kolsch can range from straw yellow to copper, goldish. Gold might be a better way, bronze, to describe the color of this. Reluctant to tip this. So, bottom line is you start out with wort